know that it's the right thing, and we'll figure out the rest later. Like, let's say yes and figure out the rest. Kind of like the mountain bike team. I had no idea what we were saying yes to. But we said yes, and we continued to say yes, and now we've got 60 kids and hundreds of happy people out on trails. We've got kids joining the team that now moms and dads are buying bikes, and now it's the way they recreate together as a family. It's like, what a gift.
Welcome to the Unconventional Leadership Podcast, where we help you unlock your potential as a leader. All right, thank you for joining this week's episode of the Unconventional Leadership Podcast. We have the pleasure today to be in the studio with a longtime friend, a great inspiration to me of his leadership, both at home and at work. And I want to welcome Brian Bozeman to the studio. Brian, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm humbled. So it's awesome to be here.
So Brian and I, we've probably been buds for 3-4 years.
At least. Yeah.
And kind of met through the community of outdoor and livability in this great community, and how awesome the livability is in this community. And then we also found ourselves in some executive roundtables together, a leadership program called Life Together, started by a good friend of ours, Joe Hansbauer. And then therefore the worlds just keep coming together more closely.
Getting smaller and smaller, just like all the worlds in this region.
Day. Yeah. So Brian, one of the things I wanted to start with you is in your various leadership roles, your work role, your home life role, and your community engagement role. Can you just kind of walk us through of how you keep those three connected?
Yeah, I'd love to do that. I think we were just talking about a book that happens to be in the background, The Second Mountain. And I read that book when I was somewhere around 40, 41 years old. And I felt like at the time I was no longer like worried about work anymore. Work was very secure for me. I work at Skanska, very blessed to have a great job, great employer, great culture, great people. So it wasn't something that was like worried. I was kind of like, I no longer had this desire to climb the corporate ladder, right? And so it became for me more about like balance and integration of what I love to do with what I'm paid to do, if that makes sense. And so finding that balance, bringing my family along, and really kind of, I'll be honest, like accidentally, I think looking back, it could, I could sit here and pretend that it was a strategic move to incorporate some of these things that I'm passionate about, but it was sort of accidental. We started a mountain bike team right after COVID in Northern Kentucky, which led to, taking over as the trail steward at Tower Park for a little while and organizing trail days there and making that park more user-friendly for kids, which was my kids included in that, right? And then getting involved in CORA and helping to sort of reshape that amazing organization that's been around for so long. And then now starting this whole conversation of the Cincinnati initiative to transform our region into an outdoor destination. All of that stuff is beneficial to my work life because it's putting me in the room with great relationships. My home life, it gets my family and I sort of aligned and outdoors. And then just my personal life, it just feeds me every day. So, again, I like to say that it was like this super intentional thing, but it just sort of like by following my passions and doing sort of what I feel is God's work in the world sort of led to this really strong integration and synergy between work and life. Mm.
So you reference several things that I think we need to like take snapshots on.
Sure.
What does Skanska do for our listening audience?
So Skanska is a major global commercial construction company. We build amazing buildings for those in this area. A lot of work at University of Cincinnati, MedPace, NKU, CVG, lots of K-12 work. So we're a big commercial builder here in town. We've got a global footprint. We've been around for over 130 years, but we've only been in Cincinnati for about 10. So I do business development for Skanska, and my job is to sort of build relationships and sort of bridge that gap of the unknown between client and partner. So I become that sort of trusted bridge, ideally between architects and industry peers, and sort of get our message out in a way that resonates.
Are there any global or national landmarks or buildings that you would want to share that Skanska has built?
Yeah, I mean, the Oculus in New York City is a Skanska. We just did an amazing mass timber job at the Portland Airport. It's the terminal at PDX. LaGuardia Airport renovations. I think that was a $5 billion job. So there's lots and lots of iconic projects around the country and in the world.
And then you referenced CORA, which is also, that's short for Cincinnati Off-Road Alliance.
Yes, not an ATV club.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And off-road means what categories of modality? Yeah.
So CORA was founded over 30 years ago. It's a nonprofit. It was kind of the mountain bike club, if you will. And I use that club term a little bit loosely. But it's existed in all of the trails that we have to celebrate in our region are due to hard work, volunteer, like begging for permission to build trails, getting that permission, and then going out and doing it all by hand. It's unbelievable what we have because of the folks that have come before us. So yeah, CORA was a mountain bike advocacy organization, but our trails, I mean, most people in your listening world, yourself, I mean, Devou Park was built for mountain bikes, at least the trails there, but who doesn't use them for trail running and hiking and walking? Same at Tower, same at England Idlewild. So they're multi-use natural surface trails. Good for anybody that's looking to get outside other than horses. So no horses.
Yeah, that could really mess up the trails.
Yeah.
And then you also mentioned the mountain bike club that you created.
Yes.
Did you find it?
So we had heard this thing called NICA. NICA stands, it's another acronym, National Interscholastic Cycling Association. It's a national organization. There was a gentleman, a school teacher out in California 20 plus years ago that wanted to take his students mountain biking after school. And so he started a club, and that club has now 20 plus years later turned into NICA, which is a very robust organization of youth cycling centered around mountain biking, grades now 5th through 12. And so the Kentucky, Ohio, and Indiana each formed a league within the national organization 4 years ago, I guess. Maybe this is our 5th. And so we were approached by Olivia Birkenhauer, who has just been an advocate and a monster for off-road cycling in this region forever. So we were approached, by Olivia during COVID, actually. And she said, hey, I think you guys would be great at forming a NICA team here locally. We need a NICA team to get these kids out on bikes. And my wife and I thought about it. I'm like, there's no way. Like we have capacity to do this. And so we joined forces with another family and decided to start it up. Which it's very nice. It's not like you're reinventing any kind of wheel. The process is all in place. So we started the team in 21 was our first race season. So I guess this is 25 going on our 5th year. So we race in the Kentucky League. There's 5 races throughout the year. I've got kids on the team that just want to ride their bike and chit chat with their friends in the woods. And I've got kids on the team that want to go so hard they're breathing out of their ears, as one of our coaches likes to say. So anyway, so yeah, it's meant for everybody. It's not an intimidating group. We practice 1 to 2 days a week, depending on the time of the season. It goes from July to October, and it's phenomenal. We have over 60 kids on the team, 6th through 12th grade. So it's just proof that the sport is growing. And I think when other people see kids out recreating in that way, it just provides more awareness. You know, who doesn't like doing things for kids and getting them outside, getting them off their screens, getting them off their devices and enjoying nature. So
that's awesome. Well, I'm going to tie some of these together with a personal story that's kind of drawn me into, and also give you a lens, a little bit of the unknown, because today we're in this episode with all of these great listeners and viewers, and some may be where I was, which was I had no idea that our greatest, in my opinion, one of our greatest assets in this region is the outdoor livability. In fact, I've talked about it in previous episodes where I've talked to companies who didn't choose this region because of lack of. And I think part of it's like, why did that take place? Because as I've explored it in my own self-care journey of getting outdoors, I grew up riding a bike. I grew up taking apart bikes. I worked in the bike shop at Johnny's Toys for 3 or 4 years. My dad loves to tell the story where a friend of my oldest sister, who's no longer with us, her friend came and brought her road or her 10-speed to our house one time. And I had just gotten a job at a bike shop. So I took her whole bike apart all the way down to the ball bearings. And we handed her bike back to her parents in a box because I couldn't reconstruct it.
We didn't put it back together.
And then, so I rode dirt trails, rode the BMX, had all the expensive bikes and you're trading parts and all these things. And then I stopped riding for, 28 years. And then decided at one point, I need to do something personally and I need to get outdoors. Again, my journey, as some know, I went to school for horticulture and turfgrass management. So I love the outdoors. I used to love riding a bike. And April 18th, 2021 is when I had my first outdoor bike ride and started exploring the trail systems in this community and go, wait a minute, I've had companies say we don't have the kind of outdoor livability as other cities. I think I'm proving them wrong, right? And you start exploring and making these connections. Then you start realizing that one of the social media platforms, you all know that I'm on LinkedIn a lot, but one of the platforms that like the outdoors folks are on is this thing called Strava. I got turned on to I never knew this platform existed for people who are extremely active and tracking activity and outdoor and indoor exercise, right? So I got tied into Strava, and then that's led me down the whole Strava and Peloton and All Trails app that I use everywhere I go. I tie all of this together to say, one, it's an amazing mental and physical health journey that you can start exploring today just by getting outside to a trail. I also live 7 minutes from Davao, which is one of the most amazing. There's a lot of incredible assets in our community, and all of you that are watching this, you're very proud of the trails that you control, that you lead, that you're building, that you're keeping clean and in a state where we can just get out tomorrow. Davao, it just blows me away. It blows me away. And it also blows me away that for 13 years, I've lived in the same house 7 minutes away and never explored Davao like I have over the last 4 years. So I have never been a mountain biker. I volunteer at a mountain bike event here and there for Brian and the team at CORA. But I love hiking. So road biking, had my own journey with that, love the Peloton, and I absolutely love hiking. So it's very rare that I take a trip anywhere in the United States or outside the United States, and I don't pack my hiking shoes because I'm known to I get up, I pull up All Trails, I figure out, oh, there's a trailhead, I'm going to go there, right? I plan my vacations around the trails. I create a favorites list every place we go. My family has a lot of fun with it because I don't think they enjoy it as much as I do.
Yeah.
But I share this journey that's what led me to these assets in our community that truly blow me away of how incredible, how committed that community is to creating that incredible asset. So I started leaning into this community and then found out one of my founding board members at Talent Magnet Institute, Chris Bouvard, was a board member at the time of CORA. And then I started realizing, wait a minute, all of these individuals, many of these individuals who I surround myself with that I feel connected to have a desire and love for the outdoors. So we all talk about building our networks, and you tend to gravitate towards those who are where you want to be or are in love and enjoy what you enjoy, and to draw close to those individuals. And I started realizing, well, wait a minute, I have another board member who is a cyclist and a mountain biker, Daniel Wechter. I have 3 clients who are cyclists and trail runners. I've got a friend who's an ultra marathon runner. And all of a sudden you realize, well, maybe that's what drawed us close, right? And built this connection. So I unpack that to say, part of our assets, I'm encouraging everyone watching this episode to explore the outdoors. Don't be intimidated by it. Psychologically, if you have not gotten out and taken a walk on a paved trail or a dirt trail, Dirt trail is my favorite, but paved trails are awesome too. It can be a little intimidating for those who have never done it. For those who are watching that are like, I ride 100 miles a week on the dirt trails, you're like, no, it can.
Yeah.
But it can change your life. It can change your family's life. Now getting the kids out and, exploring, you find out like, oh, this was really enjoyable. We got to have nice conversation or walking. I've went to Davoo when it was just starting to rain, not when it was pouring down rain. So don't come after me because I was walking in. But when it first started rain, go walk on a trail right when it's about to rain and be on the trail when it starts raining. And you'll feel a relationship, I believe, with God like you've never felt before, just being in nature. So I want to share that to kind of connect the dot of like part of the why on this conversation.
Yeah.
Right. Your self-care journey matters to us. It matters to everyone in the community. And for those watching, if you're like, wait a minute, we're talking about greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, Southeastern Indiana. Do we really have that many assets? And the answer is it will blow your mind how many incredible assets we have in the outdoors. So, so walk me through how many members currently you have on your mountain biking team. Do you say 60?
We have 60 plus, and these are just kids, plus, 25 coaches in addition. So
just last week, I was standing next to a buddy watching a tournament game, basketball game, and my buddy Jeff was like, hey, you mentioned something about CORA. Do you know Bozeman? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, Bozeman's my son's coach, Jake's coach.
Oh, Jake Davis.
Yeah. And we have found countless. I have donated a bike from my garage to a kid who wanted to join the mountain biking club. And I'm texting Brian like, hey, Brian, do you think this bike would fit? Just to get people out. So it's a whole nother, some play soccer, some play baseball, some swim, some mountain bike.
Yeah.
Right. Which not just some, 60 kids is an incredible team.
Yeah. And we don't advertise. We've never really advertised. We've never really hard recruited. I think people sometimes you'll see another family in the woods, or you'll see our jersey, or you'll start to see our logo out and about, and people will ask, bike shops are definitely promoting it more now as an avenue. When they see kids come into the store, they're like, hey, do you know about the Northern Kentucky roots? That kind of thing. Track and Reeser have been great supporters of the team. So
Northern Kentucky Roots is the team
Northern
name.
Kentucky Roots is the team name. Yeah. NKY Roots. Yeah. Pretty cool little logo.
I want to encourage you to reach out to us via LinkedIn. If you don't follow myself or our organization, Talent Magnet Institute, I encourage you to click follow, send me a LinkedIn invitation. Let's connect and take conversations to a next level. So walk me through where that has led you now. Where did you, when the connection I mentioned of people listening may go, we really have that kind of asset in our community.
Yeah.
You're an outdoor enthusiast.
Yeah.
You know all of the assets.
Yeah.
You saw those two things collide and said, I'm going to try to do something about it.
Yeah. I think, the mountain bike team was one thing. It just we're a homeschool family, so we're slightly non-traditional, if you will, if that's the word. So stick and ball sports weren't really, our kids never migrated to that, but my wife and I were runners and bikers, and our kids just sort of followed suit, and they never really complained. I hear families all the time. It's like, I want to go bike with my kids, but they just complain all the time. I'm like, their seat's probably too low, first of all. Raise that seat so their knees don't hurt. But anyway, but it was just sort of something that we fell in line with. And then when we were asked to start this team, we said yes. And I think that was the first step. And for us, it's just been such a gift for our family. We go and we camp on the weekends when we have races. We're all together. We're together as a huge community called the Northern Kentucky Roots, right? We'll have team dinners on Saturday before our races on Sunday, and there'll be 200 plus people under a park shelter at a potluck dinner. It's amazing. The relationships that have been formed is just truly remarkable. So I think that sort of led, I went in November of 21, I'll kind of bridge into our assets. I went to Bentonville in 2021. Some of the people who are listening to this podcast will be like, oh gosh, Brian's going to talk about Bentonville again. Here we go. But I was just so inspired by what they had. And I guess when I was there, I don't think I was on the CORA board, but obviously knew CORA. I was starting to get more involved in this conversation around trails and amenities. And I in my mind, when we're sitting there was a group of 5 of us guys down there, and I was like, somebody back home is certainly having a conversation similar to what's going on here to try and make Cincinnati this. And while we've got great infrastructure, we were lacking the story. We were lacking kind of the strategy, if you will. And while we were in Bentonville, we learned that like all of this was done as a strategy to attract and retain talent, create a healthy population, make Bentonville a place people wanted to visit. I think the stat is somewhere around 85% of the trail users in Bentonville are from over 500 miles away. 85% of the trail users are so they're all visiting, right? And they're visiting from a long way away. And then some of them are staying. 35 people a day are moving to Bentonville, Arkansas right now. So what started in 2007 as a problem, we have no people, no one wants to live here. They had a strategy to sort of reinvent themselves around a narrative of trails. Now they are trademarked the mountain bike capital of the world. They have the best art scene going. Great restaurants, housing, people are moving there. It's like things are, I was just in a meeting yesterday at BNKY, and they were talking about Dave Knox at Blue North is going to be doing an entrepreneurial study in partnership with BNKY. And one of the areas they're studying is Northwest Arkansas. Why not, right? They're doing something right. So what I came home with sort of that, like, wow, like this is awesome. Like we can do this here. But it quickly come to realize that we've got amazing assets. And to your point, you lived 7 miles from DeVue Park and never really knew because we don't promote it. We don't talk about it. As a region, we don't talk about it. So I saw a huge need, a huge opportunity to sort of reinvent the way that others think about our region and reinvent the way our region thinks about itself. That river is very divisive. It's Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky. But trails is something that outdoor recreation is something that everybody can and needs to get behind. It's something that's great for our region as a whole. I think creating a narrative around talent attraction, population growth, tourism, healthy communities, mental health, youth development, like all of those pillars are served by outdoor recreation, trails specifically. And that stuff starts to speak to your major donors. That was the argument from, the Bentonville story. It's like, oh, well, they got the Walton money. Well, the Waltons were convinced to invest their money in this region around this strategy. We can do that same thing here. We may not have the Waltons in town, but we've got very wealthy individuals. We've got 8 Fortune 500 companies. That stat may be off 1 or 2, but they've never been convinced that an investment in trails and outdoor recreation is an investment in their future workforce.
Yeah. Right? Here's the interesting part for me, though, and you shared that I didn't know DeVue was so close. I'm sure the people who have been involved in marketing the assets have been working really hard.
Sure.
It's hard to get the person who doesn't use it to then tune in. So as I tuned in to CORA and Great Parks and started watching what the various groups in our community were doing, then I started learning a lot more about it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get out and do this.
Yeah.
Then I took up rucking, which is basically carrying weight on your back, increase heart rate, and then going out with friends and then forming groups and then joining a group that meets on every other Tuesday for ruck season, and then going out, hey, I'm going to host a trail group with a group of friends, and finding out, like, to your point of the names.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I hike DeVue twice a week. Like, no, I didn't know that. Do you know I ride 78 miles a week on the local trails? Did you know I'm on the Crown Project? Did you know I fund part of our organization gives to the outdoor community because of that livability and mental health and physical health? So companies are doing it. Organizations are doing it. People listening are like, Mike, I've been donating in a part of this community for 30 years. You learn like, oh, that CEO just last night, I was meeting with someone, and he had shared that his wife used to ride with a CEO group in town, and she wasn't a CEO. And they were in a cycling club.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, this is one of her best networks. She met for 20 years. Every career decision she made came from this little cycling group that she got invited to at one point. That's incredible.
Yeah. I think that, and I mean, it's like we strip off our coats and our ties and we become real human beings when we're outside, right?
Right.
And you get to know somebody. And I think that genuine piece of the human is what we're all craving, right?
And we're all wearing awesome outfits.
Yeah.
And it just brings you closer together.
Yeah. Everybody could get closer in spandex.
So when you think of the outdoor trail communities, like I'm going in a couple weeks, I'll be down in Brevard, right outside Asheville.
Pisgah. Yeah.
And the Blue Ridge Parkway has incredible trails and falls, and again, you lose yourself in your All Trails app as you explore the nation. Yeah. We're trying to say we have that here too, and we're trying to build a national brand or an international brand.
Yeah.
To identify, what if the statistic was 37 people a day were moving to our region?
Yeah. I think that's what sort of keyed me in. Through my role at Skanska, I'm on several boards. I'm on the Northern Kentucky Workforce Investment Board, where it's clearly how do we get people in jobs, and then on BNKY committees and chamber events and Ready committees, Ready Cincinnati committees. The conversation is never lacking some sort of conversation around talent attraction, population growth. We need more people in the region to fill the great jobs that we've got. And so that was sort of what keyed me in. It's like, well, this is a talent attraction strategy, and it's not very expensive talent attraction strategy, right? I mean, you can build a mile of dirt trail for somewhere between $50,000 and $60,000, right? A mile of paved trail is north of $1 million generally. So we can catalyze this area through natural surface trail in a way that, we're not, we haven't really thought about before. Yeah. To your point around the amazing assets that we had. I mean, we talked about Bentonville. I mean, it was a strategy that started from scratch in 2007. There were no trails in Northwest Arkansas. I mean, there were probably some in some state parks and things like that, but not like proximate to the city center. And so that strategic alignment to get that stuff done was something that they all got behind. I mean, the Visitors Bureau is behind it because it benefited tourism, and boy, did they win on that one, right? And I think what we have here is, to your point earlier, it's like I tell people, we coach a mountain bike team with 60 kids, and it's not like, oh, cool. It's like, where do you mountain bike around here? Which is like, oh, wow. We have to tell this story not only to people outside of the region, but to people in the region. We have to think of ourselves as an outdoor destination. And I think the real unique thing we have here, and I'll tell this story of a guy I met, I don't know, probably a year and a half ago, moved here from Crested Butte, Colorado, spent his childhood between Moab and Crested Butte. His name's Matt Barlow. Give him a shout out. But he lives in Mount Adams now with his family. And he said that this is one of the coolest places he's ever lived, because he can leave his home in Mount Adams, bike down across the river on safe access trails, get to DeVue Park, ride DeVue Park, which in his mind is an amazing amenity, and then bike back home. Meanwhile, you're passing coffee shops and restaurants and breweries and cultural amenities all along the way. It's like there's nowhere you can't do that in Asheville. You can't do that in Denver. And what do we think when we think of Asheville and Denver? We think of outdoor meccas, right? But you actually have to drive to the outdoors from those destinations. So our unique opportunity is really the accessibility from the urban core. And that's what this new brand is really going to hopefully focus on.
That's awesome. So we're going to play, as a part of this episode, actually, I guess I could go ahead and lead in. We're going to play this branded video, and we'll do that. And then when we come back, we'll share a little bit more about the video.
Cool.
Imagine a place
where land and rivers are carved out by glaciers,
where legendary hills and green valleys
collide with a city teeming with culture,
where the adventurous carve their own paths
through dense forest and urban jungle,
where escaping to the outdoors
means opening your front door.
And we're a crazy group of outdoor fanatics.
Have been blazing trails for generations.
for all people to enjoy.
Imagine a place.
Welcome to Cincinnati Trails. This is the land of trails, transforming our region into an outdoor recreation mecca and building America's largest urban trail network.
With 100 miles already built, it's like an outdoor amusement park.
Love to shred? This is for you. New to riding?
We got you.
Love to hike? Runner?
Get it?
Kayak?
Name the place. Think you don't fit in? Think again.
Cincinnati trails are for everyone.
So come hit the hills, seek the views,
Bike to craft, cruise to culture.
Ride the city.
All in a day's ride.
I mean, where else can you do that?
Separated by a river.
United by trails.
It's a little weird.
We're a little weird.
So what?
We don't care. We're making shit happen.
This is what we live for, together.
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 The future of the outdoors in your region is in your hands.
This is the land of trails.
This is Cincinnati.
Okay, so Brian, tell me about this video. How did this video come to life? Who's the narrators of this video? Who are the storytellers in this video?
So the storytellers are that's my crew, my family. I've got 5 kids, age 5 to 17, 4 girls, 1 boy. And we met one of the creative directors from Dew House at Sargent Park down in Dayton, which is a new CORA trail system that CORA actually built. But we met and because they wanted to catch a little bit of like ambient sound from the woods. And I'll be honest that when and I'll talk about Nick and Dew House in a minute and the creation of the brand. But when I first sat down at Carabello's after we had recorded it, we had a good time in the woods. And then Nick shared it with me. He put beats on my ears, and we were sitting at Carabello's coffee, and I just started bawling, hearing my family like narrate my vision for this region, or a vision for this region, was just the coolest thing in the world. To see my 7-year-old, right? She's talking about imagining a place I hope that she never desires to leave in search of some other cool place. So that's sort of that's my why. But the video stemmed, I would be doing an extreme disservice if I didn't mention Nick and Peta Dew and their work at Dew House. They've got amazing talent. I met Nick through Jason Reeser, another great friend of ours. Jason is the reason CORA is what CORA is. And so I kind of started sharing this vision with Jason around like, we've got to have a brand. Like, we need a brand that captures us and makes it sound bigger than it is, even if it's not right now. Like, right, we got to aspire. And so, yeah.
And I'll pause you there. When Bentonville claimed they were the mountain biking capital of the world,
yeah,
they had very little mountain biking going on.
Yeah. Well,
they claimed the brand,
yeah,
with the vision to become.
Yeah, it was aspirational.
Aspirational.
Right? I mean, we are claiming to be the largest urban network of trails in the country right now, right? I'm sure somebody could doubt
but
that.
We are.
But we are. We want
Yes,
to be.
we
are
become.
aspiring to
Yes.
be, right? So I met Jason through this conversation. Jason introduced me to Nick Dew, who is co-owner of Dew House with his wife, Peta. They're a beautiful family. And Nick just latched on. I could just see his creative wheels turning. And especially when I talked about the part of creating a region that I never want my kids to leave. And he's got young children. And I could just see it, like the light went off in his eyes and in his mind. And so we just became fast friends. And one thing led to another. We assembled a group of very creative people around a table to start identifying a brand for this region that would capture this energy and promote us in a way that we've never really promoted ourselves or thought of ourselves, and came up with a really edgy and mildly reckless term, as our friend Edward Wimmer claimed. But it's working. We've got there's tons of energy right now. MadTree collaborated on a beer with us, which will hopefully become a new flagship beer for MadTree. I think the initial round sold out in 2 days, which is pretty phenomenal. I think they're pretty excited about it as well. So that's kind of that's where the brand came from. And then
it was the number one grossing beer of that weekend in its release.
Saturday, Sunday, and would have been Monday until it was gone.
Until it was gone.
So
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So the essence of this is also a level of layering. Like you're layering up a national, international brand to communicate, come here and check out all of the great assets. But what I do want to share that I think is also brilliant and a part of the collaboration, which is our spirit here in this region, is Cincinnati has no assets of its own.
Correct.
It's promoting all of our assets and all of our systems and all of the amazing humans who strive every day to create outdoor experience for humans who are in the region or visiting the region.
Yeah, I'll give an example that will resonate with a lot of people. And this was Nick Dew's, he kind of came up with this as sort of our example. Think of the Bourbon Trail, right? The Bourbon Trail doesn't own Buffalo Trace and Woodford and Cassalinky and all of the great Jim Beam and all the great distilleries. Those distilleries still have their identity, but guess what the Bourbon Trail did for each one of those distilleries? It amplified their tourism visits probably 10x, 50x. I have no idea. But that's exactly what this aims to do. It's not a rebrand of any amenities. It's not, it's not confusing brand equity that's established on the great stuff that we have. It's just ideally it's amplifying those voices. It doesn't change a thing, really. CORA doesn't need to wake up and do anything differently tomorrow. Devou Park doesn't need to wake up and do anything differently tomorrow. They just hopefully reap the benefits of an amplified voice for trails in this region.
So one of the hardest parts about podcasting is the moment you stop talking. I mean, think about it. The majority of the work that you probably put into creating a podcast is in the editing phase. So what if you didn't have to do the editing phase? Here at the Cincinnati Podcast Studio, we help you just come in and talk. We do all the rest. We have the cameras, we have the microphones, we have the lights, and then we have the editing tools to create the perfect content out of your podcast. Not only do you get the full podcast in video and audio, you also get short form content that you can use across all of your pages in social media. So if you want to learn more, go to CincinnatiPodcastStudio.com/tour to learn more and schedule your tour with us today.
As I look at a visionary who's doing this, being a visionary is not easy. Right?
I had no idea.
In fact, they say when your vision is so big and so in some ways outlandish or some ways scary for others, it can be fairly isolating. Have you experienced any of that as you've tried to bring up, or has it been?
Yeah, I have. I mean, the fact that, I feel like I have a little bit of imposter syndrome with the word visionary, right? I'd never seen myself as a visionary. I probably would have been a conformist had I not met Maria Wilmoff, 22, hang on, let's get that right for the tape, 23 years ago. But honestly, the word visionary is something that I never saw myself, which is maybe weird to say out loud, but it was just, I'm a W-2 kid, right? Give me a paycheck and I'm happy. But I saw a need, and I saw a need that was sort of, I guess, unmet in a way. And I honestly, I feel like the way I approached it was very much my style. It was kind of a one-on-one. It was like a dripping of this idea onto people, and I would see them light up, which would then sort of fan the flame for the next meeting. Or they would say, hey, gosh, this is a great idea. Have you met with these 3 people? And nope, but I would love an introduction to those 3 people. And then those 3 people, it was just this pyramid scheme almost, right?
But it's also your skill.
Yeah.
You're in a sales and business development role. Mm-hmm. So, and you're naturally gifted to make connections and build relationships. So you just went down, try this path.
Yeah, relationship building is I didn't know it, but I love it. I love being genuine with people. I love getting real with people. I love getting to know people. And I'll tell a quick story. When Chris Hopper, general manager at Skanska, who was a good friend and has become an even better friend, asked me to do business development for Skanska, my first answer was no. Because in my mind, business development was sales, because that's how I had received business development in the past. Very transactional. I need to get something out of you, and I got an hour to get it, right? And so I was a little grossed out by that. And Chris is like, perfect. That's exactly what I don't want. So I think you would be great at the role. I want somebody that can build relationships and build trust in this region. And so through that, I sort of created my own style of business development. I do a lot of one-on-one. I do networking events, of course, but a lot of one-on-one, a lot of coffee, lots of coffee. Holy cow. Lunches, those types of things. And I feel like you just really, I don't know, getting to know people and building trust, talk about work if necessary, right? I think that's the winning solution.
It's interesting to me when I hear you reference the second mountain, and you shared earlier that you feel very comfortable and confident and connected at work. So there is a tie-in from an employer perspective, is that you work for an organization who has employees who openly share how safe, connected, which then increases, we believe, the science shows that it increases your ability to be innovative and to create new ideas and to see things clearly, because you don't have that baggage of stress on your shoulders.
For sure.
Right? So you can think differently when you're in an environment, a work environment that's encouraging you, that's pushing you, that's behind you, that's positive. That it doesn't mean there aren't challenges, but they've created a really engaged, safe work environment for you to be at your best.
Yeah. And I kudos to them on that and for their support of this conversation too. I'll be honest. When I first started having these conversations about, this regional initiative and this vision, I was trying to separate these two things, because it was like, oh, this is the thing I do out of my passion. But like, gosh, I'm using Skanska's time to do this. And then all of a sudden it made this, like, the light bulb went off that, like, this is how I'm creating relationships for my work, right? This is what people want to talk about. And I always joke, do you want me to come and sell you on construction, or do you want me to talk about creating a great region for us all to live in, right? Which one's going to get the meeting first? So anyway, it's been really cool to see those two things intersect.
That's awesome. Yeah. And then faith weaving into this conversation. I know it's a major part of you and your family's life, and it's a major part of myself and my family's life. It's part of those extra circles you and I fell into, were some faith-based entrepreneurial and leadership groups that drew out, spending more quality time together. What have you had to rely on from a faith perspective on this journey?
I'll be honest, in the past few months, I feel like we were at our first life retreat this year, and there was a young man who spoke, and he was, for whatever reason, the Lord had put on his heart last year this word release, because he was trying to control, like, profitability and all of these new things, and he didn't know why the Lord had put that on his heart until the end of the year, and it kind of became, like, really clear that, like, they didn't meet these goals and they didn't meet these things, but, like, yet things were still fine. The metrics didn't really, not to say in this thing that metrics don't matter, but it was just more of, like, releasing it to God's will, to God's plan. And I think that was really a good sort of word, because we talk about trusting in the Lord all the time. It's like, I'm going to trust, but I'm going to keep a really tight grip on what I'm trusting you with, right? And it's like, no, like, release, like, literally open your hands and just release it. And I feel like we've had some, we talked about, what was the word we used earlier, but just like stumbling blocks. And it felt like the closer we got to launching this brand on March the 7th, there were a few stumbling blocks that sort of started to come along the way. And it was like, okay, like, Lord, you've led us for 2 years almost to this point, and you've opened so many doors, and it'll become clear to me in 20 years looking back, like why this is such an important thing and why this was like living out God's will. But I know it's your plan. So I have to release the negativity. I have to just trust in the thousands of people that I've talked to that love this thing, that have high energy, right? And know that it's the right thing. And we'll figure out the rest later. Like, let's say yes and figure out the rest. Kind of like the mountain bike team. I had no idea what we were saying yes to. But we said yes, and we continued to say yes. And now we've got 60 kids and hundreds of happy people out on trails. We've got kids joining the team that now moms and dads are buying bikes, and now it's the way they recreate together as a family. It's like, what a gift, you know? We didn't know that was an outcome. We just said yes.
Yeah. I would love, and I don't know how to do it, but it will take our audience to figure it out, right? We've got lots of innovators who are watching. I would almost love to see people share the trail they decided to explore this week, this month, this year, things that they got introduced to. And for those who are doing it every other day, you know, I've got one of my buddies, we always joke, like, Mike, if you guys are out on the trail Tuesday morning at 6:15 a.m., let us know so we don't hit you hikers while we're barreling down through the darkness. But for those also who have never done it before, like, explore what's close to you. There's definitely, if you're in this region, and arguably you probably could say any region of the United States, of the world, there's trails somewhere close to you, right? And it can be intimidating. And what I could see happen, Brian, is that the more people that just get out and explore, almost guaranteed you're going to fall in love with it.
Yeah.
So I'd love to archive some of the thoughts that come out of that experiment.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, if you're watching and you're sitting and you're going, you know what? I wonder what it would look like if I took my team out to the Cincinnati Nature Preserve. I wonder if I did a outdoor retreat at Camp Joy and used their trails. We're doing a partnership with Camp Joy at Talent Magnet Institute called LEAD. And we've been talking to them that we want to make sure we utilize your trails as a part of that program, because when leaders and teams go out to an experience, we want to create space for them, which means there may be some unplanned program where we encourage you to just go walk and think, right? You can pair up. And then maybe we have sessions where we don't pair you up with anyone, and we just want you to go out, take a pen and paper in case an idea comes to your mind. But I'd love for those listening to say, hey, I went to Mount Airy Park. I hit the trails at East Fork. I went out to, this park, or was, baseball practice or soccer practice or swim meets or a mountain biking excursion. You may say, and I walked across the street and I took a little 1.5 mile walk for myself, right? Guarantee you it will tie in into the self-care movement that we're trying to create. But it'll also get people to go, now I know what they're referencing of why we need a brand that brings highlight to the assets in our region. And I would love for someone watching to go, hey, where do you think I should explore to open up my eyes to this great asset? And then we need to start telling people about it, right? Because Bentonville's not quiet about being the mountain biking capital of the world.
Not a bit.
And we should not be quiet about being Cincinnati.
That's right.
Right?
Amen. Yeah. I think to encourage that, it's always the thing. Sometimes it's the thing that's first to go off your calendar because you're too busy. Whether that's your morning quiet time reflection, if maybe you're a morning, maybe you're an evening, whatever, like that's the thing that gets eliminated, right? The mile hike or the getting outside, or I'm going to take a walk today. That's the thing that gets eliminated because everything else gets in the way. And I would argue that those are the most important things probably for yourself on your calendar that day. So maybe it's put it on the calendar. You're not going to miss getting your kid to soccer practice at 6:00 tonight because it's on the calendar, but you might miss that walk because work bumped up till 5:30, and
And let's tie these two things in, because some of us, when we're dropping a kid off of an activity, Some run back home and then go back to pick up. Some just say, you know what, if I'm here, I may as well just be here.
Be here.
So if you're at a park where the field is, go take a walk.
Mm-hmm.
If you're...
Don't sit in your car and scroll Instagram.
Don't sit in your car, right? And it's okay. Just the other day, I showed up at a baseball field and there was a dad walking around the facility, and then he came back halfway through and people were like, oh, was that a good walk? Like even the coaches noticed it because the coaches probably wish they could be doing the same thing, right? Like we all need that experience. There's a park, the baseball fields, the Highlands varsity baseball field is surrounded by a trail, mind you. I didn't know that until 4 years ago, right? So like you can quickly hit the trail system, go in the woods and be in complete nature.
Yep. It's beautiful back there.
It's beautiful, right? So that surrounds you. Wherever you are, there's probably some type of outdoor trail system that's close to you.
Yeah, and that's Cincinnati aims to sort of highlight those things. And I mean, the goal of this is like your driveway is your trailhead. Wherever you are is your outdoor exploration, right? Just pop open the garage and go. Open the front door and go. So, yeah.
The topography helps.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have a lot of hills.
A lot of hills. We have about, generally speaking, 300 feet of vertical from your, typical, at least on the northern Kentucky side, from the river to, the hilltops, if you will, which is most of northern Kentucky is a big hilltop. So yeah, we got lots to play with, and guess what you can do with those hills? Nothing. But recreate. So let's recreate on them. Let's build trails. Let's activate those spaces. Let's raise the awareness and get people interested. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, Brian, thank you so much for joining us for this week's episode.
I am grateful to be here, Mike.
You've been referenced in at least 2, if not 3 recent episodes.
Oh, fun.
And I know that we're going to have others who are on this journey because of how our worlds collide, right? So I want to thank you all for being a part of this episode. I encourage you to get outdoors. If you haven't heard any of the thoughts today that resonated the most, should be getting outdoors. It should resonate for you to get outdoors, help your self-care journey. It'll increase innovation. It'll increase your gratitude. It'll also just increase your emotional and physical well-being. So want to thank everyone who's bringing Cincinnati Trails to life. Want to thank this great podcast studio, the Cincinnati Podcast Studio, for all of the work they're doing to reach you, our audience. And we look forward to the discussion. Add some great trail systems into the comments. Add some great outdoor activities that you're participating in into the comments. And let's continue to grow and unlock your full potential.